When you hear someone say a character's strength increased by tens of millions of percent, it sounds like an exaggeration. But in Goku's case, it's not just real, it's absurd. Jumping from a battle power of 416 to a jaw-dropping 150 million is an insane leap. One so insane, the math alone is enough to make your brain stall. But let's not ruin the fun with numbers just yet. Let's trace the trail of farmer-level Goku to the Super Saiyan beast that scared Frieza stiff. Our first taste of the new power ceiling comes in the form of Raditz, an arrogant space warrior who just so happens to be Goku's long-lost brother. This isn't some nice family reunion though. Raditz shows up, laughs off Piccolo's most vicious blast like he got hit with a hairdryer, and proceeds to casually tank techniques from two of Earth's best fighters. Mind you, Piccolo at this point is strong enough to give Kami a serious run for his money, yet Raditz barely flinches. Mind you, Piccolo, not too long after defeating Raditz, blew up a moon casually with ease, and Raditz is still dwarfing this power. He knocks Krillin unconscious with just his tail, not a punch or a ki blast, a literal backhand with his tail. And somehow that's still not the most insane thing about him. Raditz makes a bold claim. Had Goku not suffered a head injury as a baby, he would have turned Earth into ash in a few years. Whether that's true or just Saiyan posturing, the gap between Raditz and everyone else is undeniable. Goku, even after removing his weighted training, hits a power level of 416. But Raditz, he sits comfortably at 1500 and claims he's not even trying. This matches up with what Raditz later says, mistaking his power level for 1200 due to Raditz not revealing his full strength right away. What's even crazier is how Raditz seems to believe that even if Goku had matched his power level exactly, he'd still win. But what's clear is that Raditz is confident, and he's got the experience edge regardless. Goku and Piccolo can't touch him. He's too fast, too strong, and too cocky. Then comes in the wild card, which is Gohan. The tiny half Saiyan explodes with a power level of 1300 in a blind rage, smashing right through Raditz's armor ribs like it's made of paper. That sudden burst changes everything. It gives Goku the opening he needs to lock Raditz in place, sacrificing himself so Piccolo can land the final blow. A move that ends with the infamous special beam cannon tearing right through both of them. For the first time in the series, Goku is dead. From there, Goku's training hits an entirely different level. When he arrives at King Kai's world, he finds himself battling gravity 10 times stronger than Earth's. Just walking it is a challenge, let alone fighting. Bubbles, King Kai's monkey companion, becomes his first test, and it takes Goku a while to land a tag on the little guy. But when he finally does, it's clear he's already surpassed his previous limits. King Kai even drops the bombshell. The training Goku is undergoing is so intense, it's the equivalent of thousands of years worth of training crammed into over 5 months. In reality, Goku only spends about 40 days, but training, by the end of it, he's not just stronger, he's on a completely different scale. Whatever level he was at before, it's been left in the complete dust. And this is just the beginning. While training under King Kai, Goku's progression skyrockets. One of the most dangerous techniques he learns is the Spirit Bomb, a move King Kai himself warns could obliterate the planet if misused. The single warning makes it very clear. Goku at this point is more than capable of operating at planetary levels of power when focused. Even more interestingly, King Kai comments on Goku's limitless potential. It's not just a compliment either, it's a statement about Goku's trajectory. Starting at a power level of 416 and then later being at 8,000 shows an insane jump in Goku's power. After a compressed training regimen due to his time constraints, Goku rockets down Snake Way at a pace that shocks even King Kai, who originally estimated a 2-day sprint. Goku does it even faster. And this isn't Goku at full throttle either. He's still holding back. When he shows up to the battlefield against the Saiyans, he's clearly suppressing his energy until he faces them directly, where he powers up to a measured 8,000. Now let's talk scale. Nappa, the hulking Saiyan elite, unleashes a technique dubbed the Giant Storm. It's not just a big boom, this attack explodes across the surface in a blast so wide it's visible from orbit. That's continental or higher levels of destruction. Tien's desperate tri-beam fails to put Nappa down, even though it's vastly more potent than the standard Kamehameha. It actually kills Tien in the process, yet Nappa just brushes it off. It takes Krillin's Kienzan to nearly decapacitate him, which shows the sheer cutting force of the technique, even against someone far superior in raw strength. Still, Goku outclasses all of them. At 8,000, he casually overpowers Nappa, a fighter ranked at 4,000. He literally yells away one of Nappa's attacks and counters with a Ki. Now, here's something often overlooked. Even after seeing Goku's 8,000 power level, Vegeta still believes Nappa could take him out, if he was calm, which is pretty wild. So either Nappa got a momentary boost, or Goku briefly dropped his guard or suppressed himself again. That doesn't last, however, when Goku activates the Kaioken, a move that doubles every aspect of his physical abilities, and completely wipes Nappa from the fight in an instant. It's not a technique you can spam though. Goku explains it takes precise ki control. For a brief moment, you push your entire power past its natural limit. Power, speed, perception, and all of its surges. And that multiplier isn't just theoretical. With Kaioken times 2, Goku's power rockets to 16,000. Then the main event begins. Vegeta versus Goku, Saiyan Elite versus Earth's champion. Vegeta, even without any technique enhancement, powers up so hard that the ground begins to quake. According to supplemental material, he's already capable of destroying Earth just by charging up. No Galagun required. The Galagun is more of a condensed application of his total force, aimed in chain of destruction. Think of it as Vegeta converting his latent planet-busting power into a single focused blast. Goku fights back with Kaioken times 3, jumping to 24,000 and begins to dominate. But it's in this beam struggle where he finally hits Kaioken times 4 and reaches an overwhelming 32,000. This is the turning point. Goku doesn't just stop the Galagun, he crushes it, overpowering an attack intended to annihilate Earth. Vegeta, furious and bruised, realizes that the battle is slipping away and activates a backup plan, the Power Ball. It's a fake moon that mimics the blood waves needed for a Saiyan Great Ape transformation, and the kicker is that Vegeta can use it without needing a real moon. Especially convenient because it was destroyed earlier in the series. This transformation boosts his power tenfold. However, unlike Goku as a child, Vegeta retains his full consciousness and tactical ability in this form. Now, there's a lot going on here. The Power Ball weakens him slightly before he transforms, and Vegeta is already heavily damaged. But still, he's a walking cataclysm. Goku, even at Kaioken times 4, is exhausted and outmatched. He believes that the only way to end this is with the Spirit Bomb, and he pleads for just a few seconds to charge it. But Vegeta doesn't give him that chance. It's pretty insane to think that Vegeta could have actually beat Goku here if he didn't decide to become a Great Ape. Later on in the fight, Goku actually lands a hit that damages Great Ape Vegeta's eyes, showcasing either a vulnerability or a flaw in the transformation. Eventually, Yajirobe, a character whose power level doesn't even scratch 1000, manages to sever Vegeta's tail, forcing the prince back to normal. And that's when Gohan and Krillin attack with a small leftover piece of Goku's Spirit Bomb, one that barely misses its full potential. Still, it's enough to push Vegeta to the brink, and yet he still survives. Gohan, transformed into a Great Ape himself, crushes Vegeta into the ground. But Goku, the ever battle maniac, lets him crawl away, grinning, not out of mercy, but because he wants a rematch one day. Following that battle, Goku is completely broken physically. A single senzu bean heals him instantly, but more importantly, it gives him a Zenkai boost, the Saiyan genetic trait of gaining massive power after recovering from critical damage. It's unclear just how much stronger he becomes, but it's substantial. Recognizing that the threat is still looming, Goku has his old pod retrofled into a high-speed gravity ship by Dr. Briefs. The new vessel allows training under 100 times Earth gravity, the same environment Saiyans from Planet Vegeta were raised in. With the ship's updated speed, he can reach Namek in just 6 days on par with the elite Saiyan pods. As Goku rockets through space towards Namek and his customized ship, we get a glimpse of how brutally intense his training becomes. His regimen quickly escalates into sleepless, high-intensity sessions under immense gravitational pressure, far beyond anything Earth could replicate. Before long, we're told he collapses from exhaustion, revealing the punishing toll his self-inflicted gauntlet is taking. Interestingly, Goku credits his ability to push to such extremes to the battle with Vegeta back on Earth. The fight, which left him on the brink of death, unknowingly granted him a Zenkai boost, a unique trait that lets Saiyan grow stronger vastly under near-death experiences. Thanks to this post-fight growth spurt, he's able to adapt training under 50 times Earth's gravity relatively easily. But it doesn't stop there. Through relentless efforts and repeated strain-induced Zenkais, Goku eventually masters 100 times Earth's gravity, a level that dwarfs what Saiyans were traditionally believed capable of achieving. Even the narrator remarks that Goku has ascended past the known limits of his race. This becomes a running theme for the rest of the saga. Goku isn't just keeping up with legends, he's leaving them in the dust. When he finally lands on Namek, the shift in Goku's presence is so dramatic that even the Ginyu Force, Frieza's elite squad, begins speculating that he might become short of an anomaly among Saiyans. Their suspicion isn't unfounded either. In fact, his new power is so fast that Raccoon, who earlier swatted Gohan's attack aside with his breath, is instantly disabled with a single elbow strike to the gut. And that's important because Gohan at the time had his latent potential unlocked by Elder Guru, skyrocketing his level to around 14,000, a benchmark that surpasses planetary destruction according to El Manga Legendario. In contrast, Goku's performance makes this look like child's play. His precision and sheer force are now leagues above even seasoned warriors like Jason Birder, who dispatch effortless energy bursts and flickering speed. Birder, the self-proclaimed fastest in the universe, is utterly outpaced, which might be chalked up to Goku's intense gravity training reshaping his raw reaction time and physical control. Goku's unique training has reshaped the way his body performs entirely. He's not just stronger, he's fundamentally more efficient. His taking out of Birder caused Jace to panic, and he flees to report the threat to Captain Ginyu. Unfazed, Ginyu remarks that only Lord Frieza should be able to defeat the Ginyu Force, which raises an interesting contradiction. Guro can freeze time and Ginyu can body swap, which implies either Frieza has countermeasures to these hacks abilities or is simply so dominant that these gimmicks are irrelevant against him. From there, we get a notable power gap established. Jace admits that he's never heard of any Saiyan approaching 60,000 in power, and yet here stands Goku, measured over 90,000, by Captain Ginyu himself. Ginyu is quick to clock Goku's ability to match his strength, showcasing his experience and reading opponents beyond what scouters can detect. And that's something we hadn't seen much before, a recognition of his fighting IQ among enemies. Ginyu's comments suggest that power alone isn't what makes Goku dangerous, it's his command over it as well. Then comes the pivotal twist. Ginyu's surprise at Goku's level leads him to steal his body, and in doing so, he quickly realizes the problem. He can't wield Goku's strength properly. In Ginyu's hands, Goku's body maxes out around 23,000 roughly, which is equivalent to Zarbon's transform state. This not only shows how important body-soul synergy is in Dragon Ball, but also provides a clear baseline. Goku's true power wasn't just in numbers, it was in mastery. Eventually, Goku's injured body is placed in a rejuvenation pod, and while still recovering, Krillin reflects on a long-observed pattern. Goku's always returned from near death dramatically stronger. That old trait rooted in Saiyan biology is about to pay off in a massive way. Once fully healed, Goku's battle power explodes to a staggering 3 million. That's more than 33 times stronger than his previous peak during the Ginyu fight. This upgrade is so substantial that when Goku later confronts Frieza's final form, he actually manages to tag him, something Frieza remarks only his parents have ever been able to do. This moment doesn't just highlight the impact of Zenkai boost, it underscores Goku's explosive growth curve. In the span of a single saga, Goku has gone from barely managing Kaioken multipliers to breaking into a league where his very existence is pushed against the boundary of galactic threats. Frieza's true potential has long been hinted at in official sources, with guidebooks like Daizenshuu cutting his final form at containing unfathomable levels of strength. This becomes crystal clear when he effortlessly lifts and hurls an entire landmass at Goku using sheer telekinesis. A moment that nearly crushes him under the weight, though Goku manages to slow it down, barely keeping his footing. At just half of his full strength, Frieza clocks in with a power level of 60 million, completely overwhelming Goku's Kaioken times 10. And that's mind-boggling, considering how far Goku had already come. By this point, he was hundreds of times stronger than the version that embarrassed Captain Ginyu, the same Ginyu who stomped beings capable of deflecting planet-destroying blasts with nothing but a shout. And when looking at the anime's portrayal, Frieza doesn't even have to exert a third of his power to manhandle Goku with enhanced Kaioken times 10. And that tracks perfectly if you break it down. A third of 120 million is 40 million, while Goku with Kaioken times 10 would sit at around 30 million. When Goku pushes to Kaioken times 20, he momentarily closes the gap, even managing to push Frieza back with a massive Kamehameha. Yet Frieza halts a blast using just one hand and not effortlessly, but without being truly threatened either. He actually says that it hurts him. Despite the impressive show of force, the Kaioken times 20 takes a huge toll on Goku's body, leaving him battered and drained. With no other choice, he calls on the Spirit Bomb, and this time, powered by the energy of Namek's ecosystem and nearby celestial bodies, Goku knows that it's so potent it could obliterate the entire planet if it was mishandled. When it lands, it nearly does the job, putting Frieza down more decisively than the feeble Genki Dama that barely scratched Vegeta way back on Earth. But it's not over. Enraged and humiliated, Frieza lashes out on others. He murders Krillin in a brutal display, and in that moment, Goku crosses the threshold. The Golden Warrior awakens. The legendary Super Saiyan is born. Most fans agree that this transformation boosts Goku's strength 50-fold according to Daizenshuu 7, and his power skyrockets to 150 million. And that tracks with what we know. His base was far beyond his prior versions, and the 50 times boost makes the Super Saiyan variant capable of devastation on a cosmic scale. Interestingly, Frieza doesn't immediately destroy Namek after becoming desperate. Instead, he launches an attack at his core and pretends to be confused when the planet doesn't blow up right away. In truth, it seems Frieza wanted to savor the duel to test this Super Saiyan power himself, rather than just ending the fight instantly. Goku catches on and they continue battling, almost as if silently agreeing to finish this clash properly. In the anime version of events, this battle becomes quite the marathon, one of the lengthiest in anime history. At one point, Frieza slaps Goku into molten lava with his Nova Strike, seemingly killing him. Even Gohan believes that it's over, and we get a glimpse of him holding his own against Frieza for a brief moment. Then Goku dramatically returns from the brink, and the narrator even implies that Super Saiyan may have grown stronger mid-battle, possibly from a Zenkai boost right then and there. Later in the fight, Frieza fires a colossal death ball, which Super Saiyan Goku punches so hard it zips off into space at light speed, slamming into distant planets and vaporizing it. It's a terrifying reminder of how much destructive potential both of them are holding back. And this all raises interesting debates about space durability as well. By the time Goku and Frieza's battle wraps up, the scale of Dragon Ball combat has officially left Planet Tier behind. We're watching warriors who can shatter dimensions, ignoring the laws of physics, and shape the fate of the entire star systems with their fists. Frieza's final stand on Namek is a perfect example of how strength alone doesn't make someone the better fighter. Even after pushing Goku to transform into a Super Saiyan, Frieza holds his own surprisingly well, at least for a decent time. The battle turns more psychological than physical once Frieza begins to burn through his energy reserves. Despite initially matching Goku blow for blow, it becomes apparent that the Emperor's power is rapidly deteriorating. One of the more underappreciated aspects of the fight is Frieza's Death Saucer technique. Unlike Krillin's Destructo Disc, Frieza demonstrates incredible precision and control over this version, steering it mid-fight as if he's piloting it with his thoughts. It's a great example of just how redefined his key manipulation is, but even with such finesse, it all crumbles back to his lack of stamina and foresight. Goku, even in his base form, is able to dodge these discs, which is a subtle but telling sign that Frieza's power had dropped so far that he was no longer a real threat. Eventually, Frieza ends up cutting himself with his own technique, a brutal irony that underscores how his arrogance and desperation outpaced his awareness. In a rare moment of compassion, Goku tosses him some energy, offering a chance at redemption. That act alone speaks volumes about Goku's character, especially considering that he knew he still had plenty of strength left if Frieza made the wrong choice. And of course, he does. He turns on Goku once more, only to be met with one of the most iconic finishing moves in anime history, a point-blank energy wave that erases him in spectacular fashion. And let's not ignore the explosive finale, literally. Namek's destruction is visually dramatic in the anime, with the entire planet erupting in a blast that's so massive it's shown from what looks like interstellar space. While some fans argue whether this is symbolic or a literal depiction, it doesn't change how wild it is that Frieza survives the aftermath. If that detonation was even remotely close to what is portrayed, surviving it adds another layer of absurd durability to his character. The real question becomes, was Goku going full power the entire time as a Super Saiyan, or was he holding back once he realized Frieza was running out of gas? Given how easily he reacts in base later on, it's very likely that Goku was showing some restraint once he realized that the fight had become one-sided. Either way, the fight ends with poetic justice. Frieza's ego leads to his downfall, while Goku walks away with the high ground morally and literally. Goku started the arc at around 416 and then later was at 150 million. This kind of increase in approximation is 36,057,598.08%. Just for those people who wanted to have a black and white answer. That's pretty much how strong Goku got. And that's just the beginning. From the heart virus that nearly ended his life, to facing off against the deadliest wizard the universe had ever seen, Goku's power skyrocketed in ways we'd never expected. But just how strong did he get between the Android and Buu saga? In this video, we're breaking down exactly how strong Goku got, where he scales relative to Cell, Majin Vegeta, and Buu, and whether his Otherworld training pushed him into god tier levels even before Battle of Gods was a creation. If you enjoy conversations like this and want to take part in deeper Dragon Ball discussions, I highly encourage you to join the Dragon Ball HQ Discord server, link below in the description. We'll be diving into this topic and more over there. Now without further ado, let's begin. The arc kicks off with a dramatic entrance. Frieza is alive, now modified with cybernetics, and he's not alone. Accompanied by his father King Cold, the tyrant returns to Earth under the impression that Goku won't stand a chance. Cold even mocks Earth as a mere speck that they could wipe out without any effort. Confident in his rebuilt form, Frieza dismisses the need for teamwork, thinking he can eliminate Goku solo this time. But their arrogance meets reality fast. A mysterious youth from the future arrives, Trunks, and he isn't impressed. Without breaking a sweat, he eradicates both Frieza and King Cold. In fact, in the anime, when Frieza unleashes another supernova-style attack at Trunks, the teen stops it barehanded. According to the guides, the attack was over 10 times stronger than the blast that annihilated Namek. Interestingly, in the original timeline, it's not Trunks who stops them, but Goku. Having returned from his time on the planet Yardrat, Goku is more than capable of handling both King Cold and Frieza at the same time. We even find out that Goku is planning to kill Frieza this time with no mercy. Shortly after, Trunks decides to test Goku by attacking him as a Super Saiyan. Goku famously blocks all of Trunks' sword strikes with just one finger, though he points out that Trunks was still not going all out. Despite this, Trunks is blown away by just how strong Goku's finger is alone, comparing its durability to being greater than that of beings who can survive planetary devastation. That moment really illustrates how far Goku has come, thanks to his mysterious Yardrat training that also gave him instant transmission, a technique allowing near instant teleportation across space. Fast forward to the android threat. Goku steps up against Android 19 in his Super Saiyan form, but is quickly overwhelmed, not because of power but due to the heart virus, and begins to cripple him mid-fight. Despite the illness, Goku is still vastly superior in raw power, even multiplying Android 19's strength. But Piccolo critiques him harshly, saying his form and strikes seem sluggish and imprecise. This is telling, especially when even Tien can't detect anything wrong with Goku's performance at first glance. Still, Android 19 is able to absorb his energy and survive for a bit, something that wouldn't be possible if Goku were fighting at 100%. Later, Piccolo mops the floor with Android 20, who is stated to be even stronger than 19, which makes his evaluation of Goku's power pretty credible. Meanwhile, Vegeta, freshly transformed into a Super Saiyan himself, obliterates Android 19 with ease and scoffs at the android's reputation. This version of Vegeta, according to Piccolo, has even surpassed Goku at full strength, which is noteworthy considering Goku's previous dominance. By this point, it's clear that Goku had been holding back, prioritizing Gohan and Piccolo's development. This reflects Goku's growing awareness that he might not be around forever and needs others to step up. There's a strong implication that Goku, even while sick, remains more powerful than both Gohan and Piccolo. Two warriors brought along because they were expected to be useful against the androids. That expectation only makes sense if they become relevant to foes far stronger than Namek-era Super Saiyan Goku. If you stack the numbers in training, especially considering Goku's 3 years of preparation and intense post-Frieza improvement, he's likely over 50 times stronger than his Namek self. This may also apply to Gohan after he reaches Super Saiyan during the Time Chamber sessions. Don't forget that Goku's training on Yardrat, later shown to be ridiculously valuable in Dragon Ball Super, was never just about learning teleportation. It likely pushed him to a whole new level even before he returned to Earth. Another interesting feat, Frieza, in his cybernetic form, tosses out an attack far beyond the one he used on Namek. Yet Goku or Trunks, depending on the timeline, neutralizes it effortlessly. And when Goku blocks Trunks' sword using a single finger, it's made clear that any attack powerful enough to obliterate worlds is useless against him at this stage. After Goku's fight with the virus sidelines him, time passes. Piccolo merges with Kami, amplifying his own strength massively. Meanwhile, the androids in the present timeline turn out to be stronger than the ones Trunks remembered. At least according to Trunks. But when Goku returns later, he manages to outmaneuver semi-perfect Cell with instant transmission, catching him completely off guard. This is important not just in terms of skill, but because Cell openly admits that Goku in his current state would be unable to beat him. There's no real evidence suggesting Goku got his Zenkai from his illness, as Saiyans don't seem to power up from disease, but his training continues. Goku and Gohan spend time in the hyperbolic time chamber, where a year passes in a single day. Inside, Gohan unlocks Super Saiyan and Goku advances to both grade 2 and 3. However, he quickly realizes that those aren't the answer. Instead, he focuses on redefining the basic Super Saiyan state until it becomes second nature, essentially building the foundation of what will later be called Super Saiyan Full Power, or Grade 4. Something that's often overlooked is the distinction between the various Super Saiyan grades that Goku and Trunks explored in the hyperbolic time chamber. Grade 2, for example, enhances both raw strength and speed, unlike Grade 3, which bulks up the user significantly but at the cost of their mobility. This ends up being a crucial factor when Goku and Gohan wrap up their intense training ahead of schedule and exit the time chamber, allowing Vegeta and Piccolo to take their turn. But before that, Goku demonstrates a portion of his power to Korin beneath Kami's lookout, and the sheer force of it visibly unsettles Vegeta. At this current stage, Goku and Gohan have transitioned into what fans call the Master Super Saiyan form, technically known as Grade 4. Unlike earlier transformations, this state allows the user to maintain the Super Saiyan form passively, as though it were their natural base. Normally, holding Super Saiyan would be a massive drain on stamina, but Grade 4 eliminates most of that strain, making the transformation vastly more efficient and sustainable. According to a Spanish DBZ guidebook published by Norma Editorial, this advanced version of the form boosts not just strength and speed, but also agility, essentially making it superior in every category compared to the earlier grades. This is likely why Goku managed to leap ahead of Vegeta in power despite spending less time in the chamber. He outright tells Vegeta that he's progressed far beyond him, and he isn't bluffing. Once Cell reaches his perfect form in the anime, he displays an absurd level of durability. For instance, he completely shrugs off a Destructo Disc to the neck and doesn't react at all to Trunks' Grade 2 flurry of punches. Meanwhile, Goku spends most of his post-training downtime doing everyday things like driving, something that could either be attributed to off-screen filler or he learned during the slice-of-life moments we didn't get to see. The real test of Goku's newfound strength comes at the Cell games. Now fully stabilized in his Master Super Saiyan form, Goku takes on perfect Cell head-to-head. To the rest of the Z fighters, just sensing half of Goku's power is overwhelming. At full strength, there's no competition. Even Cell comments that no fair comparison can be made between Goku and the other warriors. They simply are on the same plane of existence. Fights at this stage are so high stakes that stray blasts could annihilate the Earth without even directly targeting it. This forces Goku to intervene mid-battle and deflect one of Cell's stray attacks into the sky, something Cell had anticipated. One of Goku's major moments in this battle is his Warp Kamehameha, where he vanishes and reappears right in front of Cell, blasting him at point-blank range with enough force to obliterate a planet. It tears Cell in half, but due to the android components inside him, including an infinite energy source and regenerative capabilities, he simply reforms. Daizenshu reveals that Cell uses a barrier similar to Android 17's, which we know requires roughly twice the ki of the oncoming attack to block effectively. So when Cell tanks Goku's barrage using that technique, it implies he had a massive power buffer, easily exceeding Goku's exhausted state. This would also explain how Cell is able to create several Cell Juniors, each rivaling the power of Grade 2 Vegeta, without any noticeable dip in his energy. Cell's regeneration is more efficient than the Namekians. While Piccolo and others weaken when regenerating, Cell seems to come back even stronger after rebuilding his body, especially after his self-destruction. Goku even speculates that Cell deliberately let him eat a senzu bean during their fight, but didn't care to take one himself, likely because it wouldn't have impacted his performance in any way. When the Cell Juniors are unleashed, Goku is already too exhausted to hold his ground. Despite still maintaining his Super Saiyan form, he's battered to the point of collapse and becomes helpless against the multi-cells. Ultimately, he sacrifices himself to prevent further destruction when Cell attempts to blow himself up. His death, however, isn't the end of his impact. Even from the other world, Goku supports Gohan spiritually during the final clash, and it's explicitly stated that Gohan only wins this because of his father's guidance. Despite Goku no longer being among the living, the moment cements Goku's importance in the arc even though he no longer scales to Cell or Gohan's new Super Saiyan 2 power. At least, not yet. A rough estimate for Goku's power during the Android Saga would be around a multi-star level, or low solar system level if you highball him. Shifting focus to the Otherworld Saga, we step into a portion of the anime exclusivity to Dragon Ball Z. This arc begins after Goku's death as he and a warrior from the Western Galaxy, Pikkon, are tasked by the Kaz with handling unrest in the afterlife. Several fans have speculated that Goku and Pikkon traveled through celestial regions, possibly even traversing a space comparable to the scale of Hell or the universe itself in mere moments on their way to Hell, which at this time would grant Goku infinite speed. There, they confront a group of familiar villains, the Ginyu Force, King Cold, Frieza, and even the post-self-destruction form of Cell. Remarkably, Goku in his base state annihilates the Ginyu Force, which stuns Frieza, highlighting how far Goku's strength has come even outside of Super Saiyan. This could imply the Ginyu Force themselves are more formidable than they were back on Namek, given how easily Goku brushes them aside again. The real shock comes when Pikkon steps in. Despite wearing weighted clothing, he dispatches Super Perfect Cell with essentially one blow, then immediately proceeds to overwhelm Frieza and King Cold in quick succession. This level of dominance, especially given Cell's regeneration and durable nature in the afterlife, makes a strong case that Pikkon is operating on a completely different level. Some argue that Cell was merely caught off guard, but even so, landing a clean knockout on such a tough opponent, especially one with immortal stamina, is far from trivial. It suggests that Pikkon's power was immense, especially when you consider that Cell's ambitions were ended in a single exchange. This notion is further supported by both Goku's later comments and a narration suggesting that Pikkon may be significantly stronger than him at this stage. The arc also elaborates on the cosmology of the Dragon Ball universe. The universe is split into 4 quadrants, each governed by a Kai, with the Grand Kai overseeing them all. The tournament that follows gives us a better stance of how Goku stacks up in this realm of warriors. In his first match, Goku battles a fighter named Tapikar. While Goku admits he can't follow Tapikar's movements at full speed, the match ends quickly as Tapikar burns himself out. Goku's next opponent is Aqua, who drags the fight underwater. Goku wins this one by using a clever combo of Solar Flare and Kamehameha, enough to catch even Pikkon's attention. This moment stands out because despite earlier domination of enemies in base form, Goku's Kamehameha here is framed as more impressive, giving a clear indication that context and technique still matter in combat efficiency. Where things get truly interesting though is when Pikkon faces Olibu, a northern galaxy warrior who's trained over 3,000 years. He's meant to symbolize Hercules from the real world. During their clash, Goku remarks in the Japanese version that he can't even track their movements. Think about that for a moment. Goku, who could watch most of Gohan's battle against Cell with the naked eye, is now unable to visually follow these two fighters. That alone implies they're fighting at a level far beyond anything seen in the Cell games. As the tournament continues, Goku seems to adapt rapidly. Pikkon observes that Goku has noticeably grown stronger since their previous encounter with the villains in Hell. This confirms that Goku's power had already outpaced his Cell game self in a relatively short time, especially considering he's still in the afterlife and hasn't used Super Saiyan much yet. Eventually, Goku squares off against Pikkon himself, and in his base form he can now keep up with the same Pikkon he couldn't even perceive earlier. That's drastic progression, but then Pikkon reveals he's been wearing weighted clothing all along, echoing classic moments like Piccolo's reveal during the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. Once unweighted, Pikkon clearly gains the upper hand, even overwhelming Goku's Super Saiyan Grade 4 form. To stay in the fight, Goku pushes things further by using the Super Kaioken, a boosted version of Kaioken stacked on top of the Grade 4. Theoretically, if this functions as a ×2 multiplier, it mirrors the kind of jump seen with Super Saiyan 2, as suggested in the Super Exciting Guide. Even so, Pikkon absorbs the blow with minimal damage, suggesting that this power dwarfs even Super Saiyan 2 level attacks, especially since he was momentarily caught off guard. This casts doubt on the idea that Cell losing to Pikkon was purely due to surprise. If Goku at double Super Saiyan strength couldn't face him, Cell being blindsided doesn't seem like a decisive factor anymore. The match ends with Goku using instant transmission in combination with Kamehameha to ring Pikkon out. And in this case, he wins via tactics, not by overwhelming force. Still, the outcome doesn't determine Pikkon's raw power. To put the debate to rest, a statement from Extreme Battle Collection 2 seals the deal. The guide refers to Pikkon as an opponent stronger than Cell, an enemy Goku bravely challenges. It also reiterates that Cell, having regained all his strength in the afterlife, had his ambitions crushed instantly by Pikkon. There's little room for interpretation. Pikkon stands firmly above Super Perfect Cell in this arc. Following the conclusion of the Otherworld Tournament, we're given a surprisingly clear power hierarchy that tends to be glossed over by fans. Not only does Cell make a dramatic return with claims of being stronger than ever, but he's effortlessly dismissed by Pikkon, highlighting that Pikkon, and by implication Goku during this arc, have surpassed even Super Perfect Cell. That places anime Goku comfortably at or above Cell level before the Buu saga even kicks off, and in his base form at that. Fast forward 7 years later, and the Earth situation has changed. Goku's new son, Goten, is introduced. Gohan has matured into a teenager, and Vegeta has done what he always does. During this stretch, we see an infamous moment where Goku is seemingly overwhelmed by 10 tons of weight on each limb. Keep in mind that this is happening under 10 times gravity, so the pressure is immense, closer to 400 tons. Still, once he transforms into a Super Saiyan, he lifts it with ease, reaffirming how absurdly strong he's become. While it's true that the manga and anime handle these feats differently, anime Goku is often given scenes that suggest a greater level of raw physical strength. As the 25th World Tournament is announced, Goku is permitted to return to Earth temporarily. Despite restrictions on using Super Saiyan, Vegeta believes he could win the tournament outright, even though he'll be facing the likes of Kami-fused Piccolo along with Android 18 and others. While this might sound like classic Saiyan pride, it's not entirely unfounded. Goku, on the other hand, seems genuinely impressed by the potential of Goten and Trunks, two children who may have already rivaled or surpassed the base level Gohan from the Cell games. Now, even though that sounds outlandish, it's not without any basis. Goten and Trunks are often shown wielding power that matches Gohan's younger self. Some fans argue that they haven't mastered the advanced stages of Super Saiyan like Grade 4, but their casual use of the form suggests otherwise. Gohan's strength during the Cell arc, particularly his Super Saiyan 2 transformation, was massively amplified by emotion. The guides even say as much. His Super Saiyan 2 then was fueled by fury, something that can't easily be accessed anymore. By the time he fights Dabura, Gohan's powers have dulled, and while he shows flashes of potential, he struggles to reach his past peak. Meanwhile, Goku crosses paths with the Supreme Kai, a divine being whose energy Goku can't even initially detect due to the godly nature of his ki. Despite that, Goku doesn't seem intimidated and even suggests he might not win the tournament outright, though not out of fear of the Kai. Supreme Kai himself notes that he isn't confident he could beat Goku, an important comment considering Kai is said in some material to be comparable to Goku from the Cell era. However, this interaction mainly showcases that neither party fully understands the other's limits yet. But it's crazy to think that Goku in his base form would probably be able to beat the Supreme Kai, who should be Super Saiyan Cell Games level. But when you consider how base Goku scaled to Super Perfect Cell, it's not really that outlandish. The situation escalates when Dabura appears and turns Piccolo and Krillin to stone. Supreme Kai panics, claiming that Dabura needs to be taken down immediately. What's truly insane here is Goku's calm reaction, as he actually says Dabura shouldn't be a problem. This becomes even more noteworthy when Goku adds that Dabura is around Cell's level. Vegeta doesn't contradict this either. If anything, he agrees, implying that both Saiyans believe that Cell tier threats are not manageable even without needing their full strength. Given how casually they handle these threats, it's entirely possible that they could have handled Dabura in base form or just regular Super Saiyan. This trend continues with Pui Pui, yet another one of Babidi's henchmen. Supreme Kai initially believes that the fighters need to work together to stand a chance. Yet Vegeta in base absolutely incinerates Pui Pui without any effort. This moment leaves Supreme Kai stunned. He clearly has no clue how strong Goku and Vegeta had become. And when we remember what Goku did during the Otherworld arc, it becomes even more apparent that both Saiyans have reached ridiculous levels of power, even outside of Super Saiyan 2. While some have dismissed these feats by suggesting Supreme Kai is just clueless, his reactions are consistent with how much stronger the Z fighters have grown. Dabura, meanwhile, does have some credibility. He's shown going toe-to-toe with Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, although some sources argue he's a little weaker. However, his magic compensates for that gap. Plus, it's mentioned in the anime that Gohan's power increases after he's healed by Kibito, suggesting that Gohan who fights Dabura is stronger than the one who performed in front of Kibito. Both Goku and Vegeta continue to treat Dabura as a joke. Vegeta even says that the only thing to worry about is avoiding his spit attack, showing again that neither of them considers Dabura a serious threat in terms of raw power. Babidi's key measurement system, Kiri, is introduced here. Goku's energy is measured at 3000 while Yakon sits at 800. Supposedly, it takes 2 to 300 Kiri to destroy a planet, so even while heavily suppressed, Goku clocks in at more than 10 times planetary destruction level, but we know that when Cell is at a solar system level and Goku is scaling above that. So this measurement system is likely simplistic and inconsistent with actual combat strength. At one point, Vegeta remarks that he believes he surpassed Gohan, though he admits uncertainty about how strong Gohan could get if enraged. That's consistent with Goku's own belief, that Gohan still has the highest potential among them if pushed emotionally. This also shows you the different levels between Gohan and Cell. If Dabura is supposed to be on Cell's level or above it, and Vegeta is confident that he could beat him, this means that Vegeta has surpassed Super Perfect Cell in his Super Saiyan 2 form, and possibly Gohan, but not Enraged Gohan, since Enraged Gohan is much stronger than Cell, whereas Super Saiyan 2 Gohan would just be stronger than Cell. Eventually, the legendary showdown between Goku and Majin Vegeta kicks off. When Babidi possesses Vegeta, it's stated that the transformation draws out his full latent power. Some even joke that Majin Vegeta is essentially Super Saiyan 3 without the hair because that's the same phrasing used to describe Super Saiyan 3, bringing out your maximum potential. Regardless, Goku and Vegeta are portrayed as equals in their clash, and there's an old argument that Goku's dead body gives him extra stamina or durability. But that's easily countered by how Babidi's magic alters Vegeta's psychology in weird ways as well. For example, Spopovich gets his neck broken and shrugs it off. Majins clearly don't function like normal beings. In the Dragon Ball universe, there are unique physical distinctions that blur the lines of typical damage endurance. For instance, individuals resurrected in the afterlife or transformed by dark sorcery like Majinized fighters often lose conventional pain responses. King Kai once explained that long-term residents of the afterlife eventually stop registering pain, and we see characters like Spopovich remain unfazed by brutal damage. This leads to the implication that whether you're a dead fighter or a Majin creation, the ability to feel pain becomes irrelevant, and thus not a deciding factor in battle efficiency. When comparing raw strength, Vegeta makes a compelling statement during the Buu Saga. He acknowledges that Goku has not only surpassed Gohan in the present, but even the Gohan who annihilated Cell, a version of Gohan overwhelming with Super Saiyan 2 rage. This places Goku and Vegeta's power into well cosmic tier levels, possibly beyond solar system destruction. Even when you ignore the more speculative scaling from the anime-exclusive Pikkon arc, Goku's resistance to Babidi's mind control implies he's so strong-willed or perhaps pure of heart that the manipulation doesn't work at all. Vegeta, though susceptible due to inner turmoil, only falls under the spell voluntarily, showing just how advanced his power must be to resist it initially. During their Majin showdown, Goku and Vegeta engage in a blitz speed duel that's so intense, Goten and Trunks, despite flying towards them, simply can't catch up. And it's not because Goku and Vegeta are fleeing, but because their battle occurs at a scale that younger generations can't even perceive or reach yet. In a rare moment of pride set aside, Vegeta calls Goku a natural-born genius, further highlighting their mutual growth. The clash between these two warriors unleashes enough energy to waken Majin Buu. Shortly after Dapper reveals his true demonic strength and is defeated within seconds, Gohan is similarly overwhelmed by Buu's initial onslaught. Interestingly, when Buu first appears, Vegeta actually performs decently, enough to hurt him early on, though Buu quickly evolves beyond Vegeta's reach. Later, Goten and Trunks display their power to Goku, which shocks Piccolo, suggesting that both boys have been suppressing their strength during the tournament matches against the Android 18. Yet, even with that increase, Goku remains unimpressed, hinting that he's operating on a completely different level now. To buy the world time, Goku unveils Super Saiyan 3. The transformation is so potent that it shakes the entire Earth and sends shockwaves beyond the mortal plane. Later, when Kid Buu arrives, Goku notes that he could have finished Fat Buu off easily using Super Saiyan 3. This same Buu had previously survived Vegeta's final explosion, and was strong enough to defeat Cell tier enemies and one-shot Gohan. Goku even deflects a blast from Buu that accidentally destroys a large chunk of Earth, which he redirects with casual effort. Interestingly, Goku holds back, not out of mercy, but because he believes the next generation deserves a chance to defend the world. In supplementary material, Super Saiyan 3 is described as drawing out the full potential of a Saiyan and is noted to be over 4 times stronger than Super Saiyan 2. While Super Saiyan 1 is directly linked to a 50 times increase in battle power, the language for Super Saiyan 2 and 3 shifts to general strength, implying that multipliers may not scale linearly anymore, and that raw stats might be getting abstract at these levels. Moreover, Super Saiyan 3 Goku's ki output is so vast that it's detectable from the sacred world of the Kais, a realm beyond the universe's structure, completely outside of the macrocosm. At the same time, Buu is described in early material as not quite a galaxy destroyer, due to his immature personality, but eventually evolves into a being with enough destructive capability to fit that title after fusing with Great Buu. While Gohan trains in the sacred realm, Goku casually lifts an unimaginable dense material said to be harder than anything in the universe, something that's possibly even heavier than neutron star matter. If hardness correlates to weight, this is even more impressive given how heavy the Z-Sword is for Goku to wield, yet Gohan swings it effortlessly, reinforcing the idea that Gohan might have surpassed Goku in raw strength at this point. And yet, Goku still expresses doubt that Z-Sword Gohan could actually beat Buu. Eventually, we're introduced to the fusion dance. Goten and Trunks become Gotenks, but their initial base level performance against Buu is underwhelming. After a day of hyperbolic time chamber training, Gotenks reappears more competent and zips across the globe at a ridiculous speed in Super Saiyan form, wasting most of his fusion time on antics before facing Buu again. Piccolo begins to believe in him this time, but there's still debate around how his power measures up. Daizenshuu material implies that even after training, Gotenks was only just beginning to rival Goku and Vegeta. This means base Gotenks before the chamber wasn't close, despite his confident front. Taking fusion mechanics into account, typically described as a multiplication of the two fighters' power, Gotenks should be crazy strong. But again, Vegeta and Goku appear to be even stronger, especially if you interpret Daizenshuu statements strictly. This also raises the insane possibility that a post-7-year training Goku in the afterlife could defeat a Cell Saga Gogeta. Additional guidebooks and GT Perfect files compare fusion and Potara earrings, suggesting Potara is slightly more efficient. However, both of them are said to result in dozens upon dozens of times in terms of power. A vague estimate clearly meant to keep things flexible. Backing this up, when Great Buu, just a fragment of Fat Buu, emerges, Piccolo in the anime considers him more dangerous than Gotenks. Meanwhile, Goku as Super Saiyan 3 surpasses the entire fusion of Grey and Fat Buu combined. Both he and the evolved Buu have ki that resonates in the Supreme Kai realm, something never directly said about Gotenks at any point. After more time chamber training, Gotenks unlocks Super Saiyan 3 and seems capable of challenging Buu seriously. In fact, El Manga Legendario asserts that Gotenks could have beaten Buu outright had his fusion timer not expired. Piccolo's belief in Gotenks at this stage feels more genuine than before, suggesting he actually reached that threshold. Then comes Gohan's awakening. Goku admits Gohan's new strength defies what he thought was even possible. Gohan easily crushes Super Buu in combat. Trunks, usually prone to exaggeration, sincerely admits Gohan is stronger than Gotenks, a rare grounded statement from a very excitable character. Eventually, Buu absorbs Gotenks and becomes a nightmare-level threat. Despite this, Goku in base form cuts Buu in half with the Destructo Disc. It doesn't hurt him, but the fact that Goku could do it at all is still intriguing, though clearly not implying a power advantage. When Goku goes Super Saiyan 3 against Buu, he's completely outmatched. Facing inevitable defeat, Goku and Vegeta resort to Potara fusion, resulting in Vegito. After Vegito deliberately lets himself be absorbed by Buu, the fusion comes undone. What follows is a strange and often overlooked segment in Buu's body that raises a lot of power scaling questions. Goku and Vegeta take on a ghost-like version of Gohan, Gotenks, and Piccolo, essentially Buu's internal recreations of them based on his memory. These phantoms retain the exact same strength as their originals, yet Goku and Vegeta manage to hold their own while in Super Saiyan, not even at full strength. On the surface, this suggests an absurd boost. If Goku and Super Saiyan can clash with Ultimate Gohan and Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, does that mean he's stronger than them now? Well, it's not necessarily that simple. There are plenty of inconsistencies. For example, Piccolo, who should be the weakest of the three, is able to challenge Vegeta in a fair fight. Meanwhile, Goku, who the guides plays equal to Vegeta at this point, is shown fighting Gohan one-on-one. At one point, Gohan even sneaks up on Goku in base form and manages to wear him down later in Super Saiyan mode. But if Gohan is truly at full strength here, why didn't the initial kick obliterate Goku instantly? It implies that Buu's copies might be holding back intentionally, possibly as part of a strategy to exhaust Goku and Vegeta before absorbing them again. In fact, Goku and Vegeta doesn't realize they regenerate endlessly until after he's already spent most of his energy. So it's entirely possible that these recreations were playing the long game. To add to that, Buu's control over these illusions is tied to his concentration, which is shown breaking as he gets distracted by hunger. The moment his attention slips, the phantoms literally turn into desserts. That's a massive clue that this battle doesn't operate on a clean, logical power scaling measure. There are constructs bound by Buu's will, but not independent fighters. Though something to consider is that Goku and Vegeta are confined to be operating at 1% less of their usual strength while inside Buu's body. If they were genuinely trading blows with full power Gotenks and Gohan in that state, then that would imply that their real strength exceeds Gotenks and Gohan by over 100 times, which that level of scaling is pretty ridiculous. However, it is something to consider. Soon after, Goku mentions that even together they might not be able to defeat Buu, and has also mentioned that Buu is stronger inside himself for some bizarre reason. So even if Goku does look good against Gohan or Gotenks, it doesn't translate to superiority over the real Buu. And this brings us to Kid Buu, the final form of the Majin and debatably the most chaotic and dangerous form. In the anime, Kid Buu is declared the most powerful version outright. Goku even calls him the toughest opponent he's ever faced, which raises eyebrows considering Goku never actually fought Buuhan at full power. Unless of course you count Vegito as an extension of Goku, which is debatable. If Kid Buu does truly surpass Buuhan, however, we're talking about a being capable of distorting reality on a universal level. Buuhan warped space just by raging. Goku says if Kid Buu wins, the universe itself could vanish. Though in the Viz translations it's toned down a bit, simply stating that the universe would be doomed, not quite the same as being poofed out of existence. Kid Buu at some point sets his sights on destroying the Grand Kai's planet, which orbits the Heaven Realm. Since Heaven is described as a macrocosmic-sized planet, planet-sized in the sense of matching an entire universe, the idea that Grand Kai's planet is even a moon of it implies something enormous. Destroying something that size in one shot could actually require more energy than vaporizing a galaxy. But to be fair, this feat is highly debated. The planet size seems inconsistent across episodes, and some even argue Kid Buu would need multiple shots to accomplish that destruction, if it ever were to happen. Now, back to Goku. Despite all the odds, he eventually defeats Kid Buu with the Super Spirit Bomb, a technique fueled by the energy gathered not just from the Earth but across the macrocosm. There's even a comment made that if Gohan and Gotenks fall alongside Goku, Kid Buu wouldn't have stood a chance. Goku suggests this in the manga, though Vegeta insists on letting the people of Earth resolve things themselves. This is a powerful statement, however, because it suggests that Gohan didn't get stronger at all from his previous beatdowns. There's no Zenkai or power to mention, so if Goku now is the strongest by the end of Z, that means he finally surpassed Gohan. This idea gets even more traction in early Dragon Ball Super when Vegeta outright says that Goku is number one. Dragon Ball GT gets a lot of heat for various reasons, but one thing is undeniable. Goku's strength skyrockets as the series unfolds. The real question is just how massive those jumps in power were from the beginning of GT, when he's a child again, all the way to the end of the Shadow Dragon Saga. Right from the start, GT sets up Goku in a very unusual way. There's a bank being robbed, but Goku is sitting there, slurping noodles, barely even paying attention. Explosions, gunfire, and chaos erupt around him, and yet he's only irritated when debris falls in his food. He doesn't act until the robbers destroy the building he's eating in. Only then does he finally step in. This instantly establishes that Goku isn't your typical jump in and save everyone hero anymore. By contrast, Pan jumps into the fray immediately despite people dismissing her as a kid. She's proactive, taking the lead, while Goku as an adult in a kid's body just lingers on. Later on, when Goku, Trunks, and Pan arrive on planet Emeka, the situation gets more morally complicated. The planet is under a brutal dictatorship with nearly the entire population living in poverty. Goku barely reacts when this is explained to him. Trunks takes a hands-off approach in respecting the clan's culture and laws. Pan, however, refuses to ignore the suffering around her. She insists on helping, persuading Goku and Trunks to get involved, showing her heroic streak, clearly inherited from her parents, and representing the next generation's proactive spirit. Being a child does slightly handicap Goku. His abilities are naturally limited compared to his adult self, so he can't just teleport anywhere and skip past the main challenges, at least in the beginning of the show. This forces him to engage with events directly, making him more reactive than in Dragon Ball Z. The theme of nature versus nurture also comes up through supporting characters like Giru. The robot initially programmed to obey Dr. Mew and Rilldo, Giru eventually breaks free from his programming due to his bond with Pan, demonstrating the influence of friendship and loyalty over strict conditioning, a recurring theme in Dragon Ball. Despite the influence of Trunks and Pan, Goku's personality remains largely consistent with his earlier GT self. He's calmer, less reactive, and a bit more laid back than his Dragon Ball Z counterpart. Yet the story shows he's still incredibly capable when pushed. While Pan and Trunks evolve in their own ways, Goku's challenges are subtle but notable, reflecting a shift from the hot-headed, pride-driven fighter of Z to a more measured, experienced warrior who still reacts when the situation demands it. Goku's carefree nature is really emphasized in GT, and the fact that he's been turned back into a child only reinforces it. Throughout much of the series, even when facing tough opponents like Legic, Lord Lude, or the M2 robots, Goku doesn't seem to be taking anything seriously. He's genuinely enjoying the fights, sometimes even commenting on how much fun he's having, rather than struggling or fully exerting himself. Part of this is Goku's desire to guide and challenge his allies. He's subtly teaching them, helping them grow in strength. Even in battles against General Rilldo and Trunks, Goku barely taps into his real power until serious threats arise, like the combined M2 commandos. Even in battles against General Rilldo and Trunks, he seemed excited rather than stressed, hinting that he hasn't felt this kind of thrill in a long time. When he mentions that Rilldo is as strong as Buu, it shows you how far Goku has come since the Z era. Originally, without the help of a Super Spirit Bomb, Goku would have not been able to beat Kid Buu. Yet he claims right here that Rilldo is as strong as Buu, and he still fights him happily. Meanwhile, Baby is introduced with a very different tone. Unlike Goku's lightheartedness, Baby's character is deeply grounded in hate, revenge, and trauma. As the sole surviving Tuffle, his hatred of the Saiyans is absolute. His creation by Dr. Mew and his own development into a Neo-Machine mutant mirrors the scientific mutation often seen in Dragon Ball, but with a more personal and vendetta-driven motive. Baby embodies the lingering resentment of an entire race wiped out by the Saiyans, much like Vegeta confronted the moral weight of his father's actions on Namek. Baby's obsession with vengeance escalates when he takes over Vegeta's body, connecting him directly to the Saiyan lineage that destroyed his people. He views all Saiyans as inherently cruel to the point where he declares he would be satisfied if he and Vegeta killed each other. Every fallen Saiyan is a victory in his mind. Unlike other villains whose evil is more abstract, Baby's malice is deeply personal, reflecting both the history of the Tuffles and his own corruption. What's interesting is how this mirrors some themes seen from Dragon Ball Z, like the story of Majin Buu. Buu was once a neutral being who absorbed evil and gradually became Kid Buu, a pure embodiment of malice. Baby's corruption, however, is more directly linked to real events and injustices. The Saiyan's actions shaped his worldview. Twisting him from the peaceful and progressive Tuffle, he originated into a ruthless, warlike entity capable of wiping out the entire population to satisfy his thirst for revenge. It's a more concrete exploration of how trauma and history can shape a character into something monstrous, rather than leaving it vague or symbolic. Baby is a really unique antagonist in GT because his motivations go far beyond simple revenge or destruction. Unlike Vegeta, who at his core wanted to challenge Frieza and ensure the Saiyan legacy, Baby's goal seems almost ideological. He wants to remake the universe in the image of the Tuffles. He isn't just angry, he's determined to strip freedom and love from everyone as a way of correcting the injustices inflicted on him and his race. It's a twisted cycle of revenge where taking away others' agency is central to his philosophy. This sets the stage for Goku's fight against baby Vegeta, a confrontation that's striking because Goku actually loses. He's surrounded by his friends and family who are all being manipulated, their liberty stolen by baby, and even in defeat, Goku can't help but feel a rush of excitement at witnessing such overwhelming power firsthand. It's a rare moment where Goku experiences real danger, and yet his curiosity and drive make him eager to learn from it rather than despair. Because Goku can't die yet. This defeat pushes him to train under the guidance of the Supreme Kai. The Kai plays a crucial role in recognizing Goku's untapped potential, hinting repeatedly that there's a form beyond Super Saiyan 3, what eventually becomes Super Saiyan 4. The old Supreme Kai is portrayed as remarkably wise and insightful here, and GT gives him the respect and the foreshadowing he deserves, showing that even amidst his playful demeanor, he has a deep understanding of Saiyan potential. The series also leans heavily into the lore of the Saiyan race. Goku's transformation into Super Saiyan 4 is foreshadowed by the Golden Great Ape and Otherworld references scattered throughout Dragon Ball. Even prior transformations like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Super Saiyan 3 Goku both incorporated the Otherworld-like sounds and energy cues to signal the awakening of their primal Saiyan power. GT uses these elements to illustrate what the Saiyans achieved in battle, which isn't just brute force. It's a channeling of their inner nature, something the Supreme Kai keenly recognizes and nurtures. After rigorous training with Old Kai, Goku regains his tail, a physical symbol of his Saiyan heritage and latent power. This ongoing struggle reinforces that Goku's growth in GT isn't just linear power-ups. It's about unlocking the deepest aspects of his Saiyan identity, guided by mentors who understand the true scope of his potential. Regrowing his tail didn't automatically boost Goku's raw strength, but it triggered a deeper shift inside him. Something changed mentally and emotionally. He began to care again. Seeing Earth reminded him of everything he couldn't protect, and for the first time in a long time, he felt frustration at his own limitations. The tail was more symbolic than functional, a reconnection to his Saiyan identity that sparked a reawakening in his determination. Using his love for Earth as a catalyst, Goku tapped into the Golden Great Ape transformation, a form rooted deeply in Saiyan lore, hinted at since Dragon Ball Z's Ozaru moments. Baby's reaction to this transformation is fascinating. Unlike a typical villain, he doesn't react with ego-fueled rage, instead he experiences something closer to trauma. Witnessing the Ozaru form triggers memories of his people's annihilation at the hand of the Saiyans, and the mental image twists his psyche even further, feeding his hatred and pushing him into a more unhinged state. Baby's descent is different from conventional villain arcs. His corruption isn't just about ego, it's a direct result of the influence the Saiyans had on him. The more he remembers their atrocities, the more he internalizes their cruelty, ultimately becoming a reflection of the very thing he fears and despises, a monstrous Golden Great Ape. His transformation completes his ironic cycle. Meanwhile, Goku's transformation into Super Saiyan 4 is driven by love and not rage. His connection to his friends, family, and Earth give him the emotional fuel to assess his ultimate transformation. Pan's presence and the affection he holds for the world around him are integral, turning his Golden Great Ape into the controlled, focused Super Saiyan 4. In narrative terms, this creates a perfect contrast. Goku channels his love to ascend, while Baby channels his hatred to evolve into a force he both fears and idolizes. Baby can't comprehend Goku's transformation because he has no capacity for love left. His power peaks at the Golden Great Ape form, fueled by anger and fear, making him the ultimate reflection of his own obsession and terror. The apex of Baby's fury coincides with the apex of his fear, and ironically, the ultimate weapon in his hands is the very form that completes his downfall. At this point, there's no higher transformation for either fighter. Baby has reached the pinnacle of his power, but is still limited by his hatred and obsession. Goku, on the other hand, operates free from malice, pure of heart, and unrestricted by anger. While Baby attempts to impose his revenge on Goku, much like Vegeta sought retribution against Frieza, Goku mirrors the lessons he learned in that battle. True strength comes from not domination, but protection. Where Baby tried to force love by taking freedom, Goku earns love by granting it, empowering others through their liberation. When the moment arises, Baby's fabricated control crumbles, and those he sought to manipulate turn their energy back to Goku, reinforcing it. Genuine care and affection triumphed over coercion and false devotion. Moving on to Super Saiyan 4 itself, outside of the narrative, the form is visually striking and conceptually rich. It might lean towards being over-designed, the fur tail and muscular aesthetic are more elaborate, and the sleek of Super Saiyan. Goku's demeanor in this form is confident and demanding. Scenes like the mirror shattering in front of him emphasizes raw, overwhelming energy in the lines of his introduction to Mr. Saiyan. In the battle against Baby, it also features one of the rare dual KO outcomes in the series, where the deciding factor isn't just strength but the moral approach of the combatants, how Goku and Baby relate to others. Baby underestimated Saiyan nature and the value of genuine bonds, which becomes evident as his plans crumble. Unlike Gohan's remark that Baby couldn't do anything without borrowing or steering from others, underscore this thematic point and even foreshadow later commentary on the main cast's own contradictions in the Shadow Dragon saga. Following Baby's defeat, the aftermath focuses on the consequences of his actions. The ultimate Dragon Balls, which Baby misused, are scattered. Goku steps in to mitigate the crisis, using the Dragon Balls to evacuate everyone to Planet Plant as the original Earth is destroyed. Piccolo sacrifices himself during this process, emphasizing the reoccurring theme of selflessness and dedication to the planet. Before his passing, he warns that as long as Dragon Balls exists, the cycle of destruction could repeat, a subtle setup for future arcs. With Baby's story concluded, the series naturally progressed into the Super 17 saga, setting the stage for the next wave of challenges. The Super 17 arc is strange, to put it lightly. Most of the villains show up only to get one-shotted off screen, and they never say a single word. It's jarring and a little bit disappointing as well. Then comes the main event, Super 17, and apparently he's just supposed to be stronger than Cell, but the strength supposedly only activates now because of some programming that was missing before. At least forms like Super Saiyan 4 and Ozaru had some build-up over GT, but 17's powers seem almost arbitrary. Goku also has a weird habit of relying almost entirely on Energy Blast the whole battle, despite knowing 17 can absorb power. He barely throws punches at a Super Saiyan 4 and instead hitting him with massive ×10 Kamehamehas, which 17 simply absorbs. Even Mew points this out. Adding to the weirdness, Goku repeatedly praises Super 17, despite the fact that most of his strength comes from Goku himself. The most notable power up here is that Oob in the beginning was doing better against Baby than Goku was in GT. Notably in this saga, we see Goku using the ×10 Kamehameha and the Dragon Fist. How he acquired these abilities is a bit unknown. However, he's able to use them here, but wasn't prior. Goku also got a bit stronger since in the beginning of the Baby saga, Majin was stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku and did better against Baby than Goku did. However, now in the Super 17 arc, Majin can barely land a hit on Super 17 while Super Saiyan Goku is going back and forth with him, implying at the very least he got 8 times stronger, or 10 times to be considered. Moving on to the Shadow Dragon saga, this arc carries a subtle, underrated beauty. The saga introduces each dragon along with the witch that created them, highlighting how Shenron's powers inadvertently shape the current threats. Some, like Oceania Shenron, almost parody Dragon Ball's over-helplessness, overpowering people to the point of laziness, drunkenness, and unintended destruction. High Shenron, the 2-star dragon, almost defeats Goku without Pain and Giru because Goku initially holds back and enjoys himself too much. The narrative here emphasizes perseverance. Those who endure are the ones who survive. Each dragon also carries subtle lessons. Rage Shenron, born from Goku's resurrection wish, destroys himself by overestimating his own strength, mirroring Goku's early fight with Vegeta. Naturon Shenron emphasizes the purity of one's heart and determines victory. Goku refuses to harm Pan even at the cost of his own life or the world. Now diving into the particularly interesting villains, Nova and Sin Shenron. Like the other dragons, Nova is a yokai-inspired entity embodying large elements of nature. Rage Shenron, by comparison, feels more generic. Nova represents heat in the sun, and while his brother embodies ice in the cold. This contrast underlies the saga's theme of balance versus corruption. Crucially, Nova was the 4-star dragon, the one Goku inherited from Grandpa Gohan. It's more than just a fight. It's a story about legacy, elemental symbolism, and the intended consequences of wish-making. At the start of the saga, it's worth noting that Nova's influence isn't entirely malevolent. The 4-star Dragon Ball, which he inhabits, has been with Goku for years, even sitting atop Gohan's head back in Dragon Ball Z. Goku's pure-hearted nature and positive energy have a subtle effect on the ball, weakening its corruption relative to the other Dragon Balls. That actually plays a big role later on, with Nova eventually turning against Sin Shenron and even allowing Goku to defeat Ice Shenron. Nova's earlier act of sparing Pan creates a kind of friendly rivalry between him and Goku, establishing him as good in this context. Then we meet Sin Shenron, who immediately demonstrates how dangerous he is by taking Nova out without hesitation. Sin's introduction frames him as both a challenger and a critic. He blames Goku for the state of the Earth while simultaneously acknowledging that the Dragon Balls aided in Goku pursuing his goals. Repeatedly, Sin warns Goku not to rely on this assistance, asserting dominance in both power and morality. During their confrontation, Shin shows his raw strength, easily overwhelming Goku and even demonstrating the ability to use the ×10 Kamehameha. At one point, he attempts a rather unorthodox tactic. Instead of fishing Goku directly, he tries to drop him from the sky onto a sword below. Interestingly, Sin isn't egotistical in the type of villain sense. He respects the challenge rather than simply asserting superiority. Both Sin and Omega possess a heightened ability to sense ki, meaning they were aware of nearby allies and obstacles. Nova returns later, seemingly allied with Sin, to fight against Goku and Vegeta. While watching Nova strike base Goku in Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, Sin makes a remarkable observation. Nova could have killed base Goku in a single blow, yet he didn't. This is huge since Sin himself acknowledges that Nova intentionally holds back, reinforcing that Nova isn't purely malevolent. This moment is significant because it establishes a recurring theme. Even beings capable of lethal power often exercise restraint. Sin and Omega Shenron routinely unleash devastating attacks on the main cast, blasting and kicking Saiyans. The show hints at balance between destruction and restraint. Omega has the capability to end lives in an instant, but chooses not to, similar to how Ice Shenron refrains from killing Pan. In essence, the villains in the Shadow Dragon saga demonstrate that overwhelming strength doesn't always equate to lethal intent. Omega Shenron, Sin, and Nova could annihilate the cast in seconds, but instead they exercise control, underscoring the narrative tension between raw power and moral choice. During Omega's clash with Vegeta, we see him outsmart the hero in a way that few villains ever have. He's the first to immediately figure out why Goku and Vegeta can't fuse, a detail that even Trunks had to stop and piece together. With the knowledge of Shenron and insight into their limits, it's possible Omega knows their abilities better than they realize themselves. When he downs Goku with the Colossal Minus Energy Ball, the fight mirrors Goku's final battle with Kid Buu. Back then, Goku triumphed with his help from the Dragon Balls, and here against Omega, he has no outside safety net and it's all on him to awaken something new entirely. Funny enough, the Dragon Balls in this case are now being used against him. Even more telling is how Omega doesn't immediately obliterate everyone else. He could, but he doesn't. Instead, he ramps up the power of the Minus Energy Ball in response to Goku pushing back, almost like he's deliberately testing it. The clash becomes less about can Goku survive and more about how far can Goku actually go. It borders on the idea that Omega's role isn't just to destroy, but to challenge Goku in reaching a transcendent point, which leads into the finale, the Universal Spirit Bomb. Instead of relying on the Dragon Balls to save the day, Goku channels the positive energy of the entire universe against the ultimate product of negativity. And when Omega lashes out, blasting Goku while he holds the Spirit Bomb, something feels off and different. The damage Goku takes is minimal, almost like he shifted into a new state of being. You could interpret this as Omega underestimating him, but it also works as a sign that Goku himself is evolving, becoming more than what he was minutes before. By the time the Spirit Bomb lands and the story reaches its ending, the Shadow Dragon Saga transforms from just another battle into something symbolic. Goku isn't just fighting for the Earth, he's being pushed towards the next stage of existence, with Omega Shenron less like a simple villain and more like a necessary trial. Eventually, Omega Shenron attempts to strike Goku with another massive energy ball, but it has no effect. Goku remains completely unfazed, channeling Genki from across the universe and effortlessly annihilating Omega Shenron. With the threat neutralized, the original Shenron reappears, but this time the scene is completely different. The sky is no longer dark and Shenron doesn't appear because someone summoned him. Instead, he takes the initiative to approach Goku, healing him and speaking directly, asking why the Shadow Dragons emerged in the first place. Goku confirms the answer, but then Shenron surprises him with the unexpected invitation. Let's go now. Without hesitation, Goku acknowledges it, says goodbyes, and flies off. In a surreal moment, he merges with the Dragon Balls themselves. Though his clothes remain scattered behind him, he disappears repeatedly, leaving a sense of mystery about his journey. The most popular interpretation among fans is that Goku undergoes a form of ascension, a type of living after death found in Eastern mythology. In this concept, one's physical self passes away, but the true essence awakens. For Goku, this means shedding his mortal form, his pure-hearted nature allowing him to transcend, and emerging as a fundamentally new being. When Omega Shenron encounters him at this point, he asks, "Who are you?" A line typically reserved for fusion transformations, highlighting that Goku has become something entirely different. The Shenrons, drawing inspiration from Shinto rituals and otherworldly dimensions, acts as a guide between heaven and earth. By riding Shenron, Goku moves beyond mere immortality, entering a plane of existence that is both ethereal and omniscient, which explains why even centuries later, Goku is seen again, seemingly untouched by time. Whether it's a literal ascension or a fusion with universal energies like the Spirit Bomb and Shenron, the result is the same. Goku transcends the limits of mortality. In this ultimate form, often thought of as Super Shenron Goku, he achieves a state of complete freedom and enlightenment. He has finally reconciled his life, his responsibilities, and the love he shared, allowing everyone around him to live freely while he attains true eternal peace alongside Shenron and the Dragon Balls.